Hey folks, I got this 2007 Aprilia RSV factory as second gen, completely stock, and I've done a number of things to it which I would consider to be necessary. I just want to show you what those are, and after I get out on the road I'll post a few more videos. First thing I did was tyres. Had terrible touring tyres on it, actually unsafe. Got those done first. Next thing I did was clip-ons, and I wouldn't normally seek to do that with a bike, except one of the clip-ons was bent, and so I went with these aftermarket clip-ons. The good thing about this is these clip-ons is that you can just replace this bar if you ever drop the bike or they need to be replaced again. So that's done now, and I won't have to remove the triple in order to do that. I also got a ball mount here, so I can maybe do some recording, and that will go through an aftermarket screen, which is not fully clear. It's got a little bit of a smoke tint to it, which is not ideal, but it's all I could find actually, because these Gen 2 models, parts are quite hard to find. So I got a slightly higher screen, which is a very tiny amount of tint on it. I also put a new K&N air filter in the airbox here, under the tank. I've put a little bit of protection, crash protection on the bike. Not quite as much yet as I would like. I'd like to put some in here, but there was one manufacturer that made no-cut frame sliders that go in here, but not anymore. You've got to, even Woodcraft and everyone, they just make cut frame sliders, so you have to cut this lovely carbon slightly. But you know, I'd rather do that than destroy all this lovely OEM bodywork. I also put rear sets on. Hard to find Gen 2 rear sets which are adjustable. Most manufacturers seem to have stopped making them. These are Woodcraft, which brings up the peg slightly. Not ideal, but everything else is great. They don't fold. They give you much better feel. So I'd rather have them than not. And on the left-hand side, I've installed it with the GP shift, the reverse shifter, which is a must for me. While we're down here, the other thing I did was I put in a new front sprocket with a different number of teeth. The stock gearing on this bike is really, really poor. Super tall. So I've just gone down one tooth in the front, and we'll see if I want to go up any teeth in the back. I'll do that later, maybe. The seat is off because I've sent the ECU away to get flashed to what Aprilia called MAP 2, which is necessary if you use aftermarket exhaust. These aftermarket exhausts are the cheapest ones I could find. Because again, it's an older bike, it's actually quite hard to find. There's not a big used market, and the used market there is for anything that's decent is still kind of smashed up or very, very expensive. Speaking of smashed up, I found these protectors to put. They're rubber. The only other option I could find is some carbon fiber ones from R&G in the UK, and buying 2 of those and having them shipped here is really, really expensive. But this off-road brand, which I think is Aceris or Aceris, produced these rubber muffler guards that are much cheaper. Doesn't look great, but I don't know. I'll roll with it, and we'll see how I like it. Another thing to mention is that I've wired a battery tender up. This one didn't have a tender on. I think this might be an aftermarket battery, so I want to keep it fresh. And that, I think, is all of my mods for now. There'll be more later.